Ext, downtown, noon. A red light holds the city still. The air hums with distant sirens. Neon signs flicker like insects trapped in amber. Victor sits in his rust-bitten sedan, cigarette smouldering between his fingers. He takes a slow pull from a tarnished silver flask, whiskey biting through the shakes. He's searching for someone. Across the street, Mike, a jittery, wild-eyed homeless man, walks in animated conversation with someone who isn't there. Except Victor sees it. A figure in a perfect white suit, sunglasses too pristine, smile too knowing. The entity gestures wildly, amused. It moves in perfect sync with Mike. Mike barks a laugh. Mike, grinning, exhausted. Yeah, man, I haven't even slept in like 4 whole days. The entity whispers something. Victor tightens his grip on the wheel. Victor muttering. Ma was right. Shouldn't be out here drinking and driving like a goddamn idiot. Beat the swigs from flask. But what the hell else am I supposed to do? The light turns green. Victor flicks his cigarette into the gutter and follows, toward Lincoln Park, where the forgotten and the forsaken gather. EXT, Lincoln Park, Shantytown, noon. A world of sagging tents, flickering barrel fires, the wet slap of cards against cardboard. The air thick with grunge trap, sweat, piss, and burnt foil. Victor clutches a grainy, crumpled photograph, his sister's face frozen in time. A cluster of young, hollow-eyed kids lounges near a tattered tent. Alyssa, barely 17, exhales a thin wisp of fentanyl smoke. Sam, her boyfriend, pockets a lighter. Victor approaches. Alyssa, detached, distant. Hey, mister, you got a smoke? Victor hands over 2. Victor, holding up the photo. You seen her around? Sam glances at the picture, a flicker of recognition. Sam. Yeah. We scored some Lucy off her last weekend. Victor exhales. Victor sounds like her. You know where she's at? Then, sirens. Boots on concrete. A wave of cops crashes through the encampment, tents slashed, bodies shoved, skulls cracked. Victor backs into the shadows. The kids scatter like roaches. Alyssa vanishes into the haze. Victor clenches his fists. He needs a drink. Ext. Liquor store. 2 p.m. The city presses in. The air is wrong. Victor feels eyes on him. The attached are watching, the hungry ones. He pulls a cigarette, carves a tiny sigil into the paper with a shaky thumbnail, tucks it into his beanie, a small protection. Then he pushes through the door. Int. Liquor store. 2 p.m. The store hums with fluorescent unease. Shelves sag under cheap liquor. A broken TV flickers static in the corner. Behind the counter stands XAZ, not human, not something else. Neon blue mohawk, leather jacket, deep blue eyes that pull like undertows. A grin like a wound that never healed. XAZ, grinning, amused. Well, well, thought you quit, young blood. What the hell are you doing here? Victor pulls the sigil-marked cigarette from his hat and lights it. A thick haze of power rolls outward. The lesser-attached demons gag, retching. A customer stumbles out the door, clutching their stomach. Zaz, he just laughs. Victor, gravel-voiced. Give me the unhoused special. I got $10. Zaz waves a hand, unbothered. XAZ. Ugh, what is that? Leans in, voice lowering. Don't push me, Tito. Business is booming, but something else is in town. And it ain't leaving. Victor. Yeah. What else is new? Zaz's grin fades. XAZ. Serious now. You're not listening. It's worse this time. Victor digs out his last crumpled bill. Victor. That's real poetic, man. Now, you gonna sell me my booze or what? Zaz slides the bottle across. Doesn't let go. XAZ. Your sister came by earlier. Bought up the rest of the MD 2020. Victor tightens his grip. Victor. Of course she did. Where's the party? Zaz shrugs. XAZ. Dunno. But she was with some real shady types. Beat. Look, man, check in on her once in a while. Victor snatches the bottle and turns to leave. Victor, low muttered. I'm working on it. XAZ, calling after him. Don't say I didn't warn you. The Prayer of 20 Millions, V.O. Horace Greeley wrote a letter to Abraham Lincoln on August 20th, 1862. He demanded Lincoln execute emancipation laws. Without him, Lincoln might never have ended slavery. But Greeley also wrote, "Go west, young man, and grow up with the country." These words fueled a genocide, stole native land. This place, Union Colony, Colorado, was never ours to take. And now the angry spirits remain. This town breathes with restless ghosts. It comes with the territory. XT Glenmare Park, 8 p.m. Victor slumps on a park bench staring at nothing. His last shooter lies empty at his feet. The wind carries something wrong. A whisper. A laughter not meant for human ears. From the trees, a figure in a perfect white suit stands in the dark, watching. Fade to black. The crossroads of reality and madness. Act 1, a fever dream. Int. Victor's mind. A hotel room. Night. Victor wakes up drenched in sweat, trapped in the middle of a lucid nightmare. The hotel room around him shifts between real and surreal, walls breathing, whispers curling from the mirror. The static glow of an old TV flickers between white noise and something watching him. Sitting across from him, in a fading armchair, is a black-robed figure. No face, no features, just presence. It flips through a deck of tarot cards with inhuman precision. It draws a card and places it on the nightstand. The card, the Hanged Man, upside down. The figure finally speaks, a voice that echoes backward. Black-robed figure. Distorted, slow, timeless. You already know how this ends. Victor jolts awake in a rundown motel, his breath ragged, his hands shaking. A bottle lies empty beside him. The night sweats cling to his body like death. The TV flickers, but it's off. A whisper curls from the screen. TV static, whispering, almost playful. No next time, Victor. Victor yanks the cord from the wall. His phone buzzes. Unknown caller. He hesitates, then answers. A voice, soft and distant, comes through. A woman's voice. R-U-E-O-S. Almost amused. The black dog howls at the crossroads, but you already knew that, didn't you? Rue. The black balloon, the vanishing star gaunt, but beautiful in a haunted way. Shaved head except for a long, tangled strip of hair dyed silver, always barefoot. A mix of streetwear and high fashion, like she walked out of a dream but ended up in the gutter. Always has chipped black nail polish and constellation tattoos trailing up her spine. Enigmatic, poetic, detached but deeply emotional in moments. Rue sees the world in symbols and omens, often speaking in riddles. Her presence is fleeting, here one moment, gone the next. Rue and Victor's sister were close, partners in crime, lovers in chaos. She was the last person to see her before she disappeared. She deals in tarot readings, palmistry, and the occasional batch of questionable substances. She also hears them, the voices that whisper from the shadows, the ones that watch through the trees. When Victor calls her up, she'll have answers, but they won't be direct. She's playing a dangerous game with the attached and has seen too much. She wears a necklace with a bullet on one side and a pressed black rose on the other. Victor grips the phone tighter. Victor. Rue. Not now, just tell me where she is. Rue. O.S. She was here. She was everywhere, like a cigarette ember caught in the wind, glowing, dying, disappearing. Victor. Rue. R-U-E-O-S. Mocking. Sing-song. Victor. Victor. Gritted teeth. I don't have time for this. Rue O.S. Neither does she. A beat. The weight of it sinks into Victor's chest. Victor. What the hell does that mean? Rue. O.S. Lower now. Intimate. It means she's hanging in the balance. A foot in this world, a foot in the other. The ones with perfect smiles and hollow eyes. They've noticed. Victor closes his eyes. He already knows who she's talking about. Victor, exhales. The attached Rue, OS. Ding ding. Give the man a prize. Victor, tell me where she is, Rue. A soft, papery sound on Rue's end, the slow, deliberate shuffle of tarot cards. Rue, OS. I pulled a card for you, Victor. Victor stares at the ceiling, gripping the bridge of his nose. Victor, Rue, OS. The Hanged Man, upside down. A silence stretches between them. Something about the way she says it makes Victor's stomach tighten. Victor! What does that mean? Rue, OS. It means you're stuck, stubborn, refusing to let go, refusing to see the world from another angle, your need to fix things, to save her. It's got you tied up, upside down, blood rushing to your head. Victor, I don't have a choice. Rue, OS. You always say that, but the card says otherwise. A long, empty pause. Something rustles on Rue's end. Wind, whispers, something slithering just outside of perception. Victor, quiet, dangerous. Where is she? Rue, OS. Soft, almost tender. She left pieces of herself at the midnight mass. She went looking for something deeper in the glass, something blacker than the night sky. Victor exhales sharply. A club. Southside. Victor, that's a club, right? RUEOS, whispering, amused. It's a mausoleum with a dance floor. The ones who go looking for answers there, they usually leave with less of themselves. Victor, is she still there? Rue, OS. She's in the spaces between. You have to look for the echoes. Victor, Rue, OS, whispering, like a lullaby. The Hanged Man isn't about death, you know. It's about sacrifice. Victor, what the hell does that mean? Rue, OS. It means someone has to let go. The line goes dead. Victor clenches his jaw, staring into the night. Then, he starts the car. Act 2. The Midnight Mass. Deli calls Victor, voice low and cryptic. Meet me at the Midnight Mass. Deli, her street name, what Victor calls her. Porcelain Queen, nickname from the underworld, referencing her mix of beauty and fragility. The last cigarette, what some attached call her, like she's something you shouldn't want but crave anyway. Victor always loved her, and her name being Delilah, like the woman who cut Samson's hair in the Bible, rendering him powerless just so she could make a few bucks, always resonated with him, a warning from Sunday school he never did heed. Her sharp features, dark eyes that always seemed to be assessing or somewhere else entirely. Black bob cut, uneven from a self-haircut in a gas station bathroom. She wears a thrifted oversized men's dress shirt over ripped fishnets and combat boots, always slightly disheveled, like she just rolled out of someone else's bed or a back alley fight. Cocaine-white lips, smudged eyeliner like war paint, and the smell of kerosene and cigarettes clinging to her skin. Has a faint scar tracing her jawline from an incident neither she nor Victor talk about. Sarcastic, blunt, and effortlessly cool, but underneath it she's haunted, knows the city's underbelly better than Victor does, where to get what you need, who's for sale, and who you never ever owe a favour. She's lived fast, broken hearts, including Victor's, and made enemies with the kind of people and things that don't forget. Sees things for what they are, calls out Victor's bullshit, but still answers his calls. Once a runaway preacher's daughter, she rebelled hard, carving her own myth in the city's nightlife, spent years hustling poker games in backroom bars, running scams, and dealing just enough to keep herself fed without getting buried. Had a deep, reckless love with Victor, but they were gasoline and a match. Their relationship burned hot until it just burned. Left him for a guy who promised her a way out of the life. That guy ended up dead. Deli didn't cry at the funeral. Now she floats through the city like a ghost, always in motion, never staying in one place too long. She's the only person who knows him better than he knows himself. He doesn't trust anyone, but he trusts her a little. She saw his sister a few weeks ago. Said she was playing a dangerous game with the wrong people. Won't say more unless Victor gives her a reason to. She's had brushes with the attached, things that whisper her name in the dark. She carries a small switchblade and a revolver with only one bullet. She swears she doesn't believe in fate, but she keeps it loaded just in case she's the only one who can see through him. She'll remind him of who he used to be, who he could be, and the darkness he's walking toward. She's the one that got away, but not in a romantic, wistful sense. More like an escaped convict from a prison of their own making. She's a living cautionary tale, proof of what happens when you make the wrong deals, love the wrong people, and keep chasing a high that doesn't exist. She knows what Victor lost, and she knows what's waiting for him if he keeps looking. Victor finds her because he needs answers. Victor's sister wasn't alone when Deli saw her. She was with the man with no reflection. 2. The man with no reflection. Aka, the gun, the echo, the hollowed-out saint. Always just out of focus, like an after-image. A tall man in a dusty black suit, looking like he stepped out of a funeral a century ago. His face is sunken, pale, and his eyes are like mirrors, deep pools of shifting reflections. If you stare too long, you see yourself in them, and then something else staring back. Soft-spoken, patient, polite. A collector of lost souls. He doesn't need to speak to get inside your head. His presence alone is a whisper in your bones. He doesn't exist. Or at least, he's never existed in one form. Some say he was a preacher who lost his faith. Others say he's the embodiment of every bullet that's ever missed its mark. Whatever he is, he's been watching Victor for a long time. He's following Rue, always a step behind, waiting for something. Rue calls him the echo of bad decisions. Victor will encounter him in a moment of weakness, and he will offer him something. A way out, a loaded gun, or something worse. EXT, the Midnight Mass, night. A condemned movie theatre. Its neon sign, long dead, flickers faintly like a dying god. A slow bass pulse rattles the glass. Victor steps inside. Int. The Midnight Mass, night. This is no ordinary club. The air is thick with incense and something else, something old. Dancers move like they're caught in a ritual. The walls bleed shadow. At the bar, a woman in a black veil waits for him. Deli, his ex, his almost, his never again but always was. She slides a drink toward him. Deli, smirking, cigarette between her fingers. Your favourite, right? Gin and tonic. You drink like my grandma. Victor downs it in one go. Victor, hoarse, dark humour. Yeah, well, you drink like my dad. Deli snorts, but her eyes flicker with something unreadable. Victor fully well knows he has been drugged. The drinks in this place are like the drugs in Clockwork Orange, except for real. The 3 drugs mentioned in the beginning of the novel, Velocet, Synthamesk, and Drenkrom, are all purely imaginative, LSD-type hallucinogens. Andrew Biswell identifies Velocet with amphetamine and Synthamesk with mescaline, a hallucinogenic peyote derivative. He must have known something most people couldn't bear to admit. This is going to be one wild ride. Deli. Jesus. Anyway, Vic, this place ain't for you. I just wanted to tell you something. Victor narrows his eyes. Victor. And what's that? Deli hesitates. Then, Deli. Your sister was seen here, days before she disappeared. Victor's blood runs cold. Deli, lowering her voice. She wasn't herself. She spoke about a new god, a movement that would separate the chaff from the wheat. Someone in this club knows what happened to her. Victor watches the crowd, the shadows ripple wrong. Victor, then why the hell invite me here? Deli grips his arm, harder than she should be able to. Deli, low, urgent. Victor, you don't find people in this city. Beat the. They either find you, or they don't want to be found. Victor pulls his arm away, and that's when he hears the name he wasn't supposed to hear. Across the club, Zaz pulls him into the shadows. XAZ, whispering, warning. You're in too deep, young blood. Victor clenches his jaw. Victor? Yeah? Then tell me who's really pulling the strings. Zaz sighs, shaking his head. Then he says the name, A name Victor never should have heard. Emery Kincaid. The whole room seems to shudder. A whisper curls in Victor's ear, a voice not his own. Whisper. He's already seen you, Victor. A CT2. The cult of the locust. The enemy reveals itself, external. Telluride mansion, day. The name Victor heard leads him to a decayed Hollywood mogul, Emery Kincaid, a self-styled prophet of the elite, a man with dead eyes and a serpent's tongue. Emery preaches about the age of the locusts, where the world's corrupt will be wiped clean, and only the initiated will survive. He speaks in riddles. He already knows Victor is looking for his sister. Victor notices. The people around Emery, celebrities, politicians, aren't fully human anymore. Their shadows move wrong. The same symbol from his dreams is burned into Emery's palm. Victor demands answers, but Emery only laughs. Emery Kincaid. When I got to the party of special things to do, it wasn't hard to find Elixir Sue. I met all the cards, the wild cards, the one-eyed Jill, the Red Queen. She turned her head, you know what I mean. She turned it back and said, I got a brand new game I want to lay on you. The party turns against him. A ritual begins. You're already one of us, whether you like it or not. Victor struggles and barely escapes the crowd surrounding him, chanting in unison. Drugged, bleeding, hallucinating, he fights off a crazed horde of cultists, and the attached, with quick thinking, he meditates on the mantra of Dhumavati. To protect him, he lights a cigarette with Dhumavati's yantra drawn on it and disappears. The crowd, including Emery, are stunned at his powers. Dhumavati is a Hindu goddess who is part of the Mahavidya, a group of 10 wisdom goddesses. Her name translates to the Smoky One. She is associated with inauspicious things, such as the rainy season and cremation grounds. Her appearance often depicted as an old, ugly widow, wearing a simple white sari, holding a winnowing tray of woven bamboo. Riding a black crow represents the fearsome aspect of Mahadevi, the supreme goddess in Hindu traditions. Is said to manifest herself at the time of cosmic dissolution, is associated with overcoming adversity and transforming suffering into wisdom, is invoked to rescue devotees from life's troubles and aid in the defeat of one's enemies and the power to defeat demons with stinging smoke. Delhi's revelation, external, Delhi's apartment, night. Victor stumbles to Delhi's place, eyes wide with visions. She slaps him awake. You're in their trap! She shows him something terrifying, a VHS tape from the past week. His sister is on it, standing in the same theatre as Emery and his followers. She's chanting, covered in blood, eyes blank. In the background, the man with no reflection watching. Delhi. The cult is real. Emery is a fraud, but something older is working through him. If you want to find your sister, you have to step deeper into the abyss. I'm sorry, Vic, I'll do what I can to help. Victor. Don't worry, love, I'll be just fine. Just gotta make a few calls. A CT3, baptized in fire. The ruins of faith, external. A church, midnight. Victor, Delhi, and Zaz break into a burned-down church. A site of old atrocities, rumoured to be where the real power in the city hides. The church is filled with strange writing, etched into the walls. The moment Victor steps inside, he sees things. His sister whispering a prayer backwards. The attached watching him from the rafters. A massive locust swarm crawling from the pulpit. At the altar stands the man with no reflection. The man offers Victor a choice. Your sister is already lost, but you could walk away. Just close your eyes. The locusts crawl up Victor's arms, whispering his secrets, his failures. Delhi is screaming, but the sound is distant. Victor pulls out his lighter and burns the church to the ground. The screams of the attached echo as the fire spreads. Delhi drags Victor out as the building collapses behind them. Final scene. The Devil's Bargain. Victor sits alone in a graveyard, bloodied, exhausted. He has one final clue. A matchbook from an unknown bar found in the ruins. His sister's handwriting is on the inside, "Meet me in Babylon." As he lights a cigarette, a shadow passes over him. The man with no reflection is still watching. Fade to black. Victor now knows his sister is involved in something far worse than he imagined. Emery Kincaid isn't the true villain. He's just a pawn for something older. The city itself is shifting, reality breaking. The deeper Victor goes, the less human he becomes. Title: No Wow No More. Act 1. Echoes of the Past. Opening scene: the farm. External: Victor's family, farm, twilight. A burnt orange sky bleeds over the barren farmland. Victor stands at the edge of a tree line, bottle in hand. The wind carries a sound, low, distorted like an old VHS tape warping in the player. Then music. It's tiny plastic babies. A song they never recorded. A song they never wrote. Victor turns. His best friend Jason stands at the tree line. Tall, lanky, with his signature beat-up denim vest covered in old punk patches. Jason is dead. He's been dead for 8 years. But here he is smirking, cigarette dangling from his lips. Jason raises a hand. It's charred black. "Hey man, you finally listening?" Victor jolts awake screaming in a motel room. Inciting incident. The return of the band. Int. Deli's apartment. Night. Victor storms into Deli's place, still shaking from the dream. She's got a half-smoked cigarette in one hand, a bottle of nail polish in the other. Deli. Bad dreams or bad decisions? Victor, both. He tells her about the music, the dream, Jason. Deli goes still. She's heard the song too. Victor's sister has been searching for a way to bring Jason back. She's been visiting an underground chapel hidden beneath a punk club called the Tramps Cathedral. The place is run by an ex-roadie turned occultist named Gideon Cross. He claims he can resurrect the dead. Victor stares at Deli. Victor, and you believe that? Deli exhales. Deli. I believe she does. A church of forgotten songs. The Tramps Cathedral, external, abandoned music venue, midnight. Victor and Deli arrive at the Tramps Cathedral, a condemned punk venue swallowed by graffiti and time. Inside, the place is packed, not with fans, but with believers. The crowd sways, eyes rolled back, chanting in broken Latin. Music hums through the walls. At the altar, Gideon Cross preaches. Dressed in tattered leather, rings glinting on every finger, he stands beneath a mural of an inverted saint, crucified upside down. St. Peter, thinking he wasn't good enough to be crucified like his savior, he demanded to be crucified upside down. Victor always thought that was badass since the stories in Sunday school growing up. He holds up a cassette tape. Jason's voice echoes from the speakers. Victor freezes. That's his voice. That's Jason's laugh. That's a song they never recorded. Gideon sees him. He calls Victor forward. Gideon knows his name. Gideon. Your sister was here. She left a gift for you. Gideon hands Victor an old cassette player with a single tape inside. The label reads, "We were never meant to fade." Jason was almost famous, the most talented multi-instrumentalist Victor ever met, the only guy that took him seriously. And yeah, they would fight over girls and get pissed drunk, but that was who they were. They were tighter than brothers. People loved Jason like crazy. He had fans and groupies, the whole bit, but there was only one problem. Jason was Jason. Act 3. The Cost of Resurrection. Listening to the Dead, International Motel Room, 3 a.m. Victor sits on the motel floor staring at the cassette. Deli watches from the bed, arms crossed. You really gonna press play? He does. The tape crackles. Then, Jason's voice. Jason, this is for you, man. If you're hearing this, I guess you're finally ready. Jason, the song's still unfinished. You need to help me finish it. Then, another voice cuts through. Victor's sister. I found a way, Jason. I swear to God, I found a way. The tape cuts out. Victor turns to Deli. She's trying to bring him back. She's trying to bring all of us back. Final scene. The ritual begins. External. An abandoned cemetery. Dawn. Victor and Deli follow the tape's final clue to an overgrown graveyard on the edge of town. Victor's sister is already there. She's standing at Jason's grave, arms outstretched, whispering a song Victor doesn't recognize. The air is heavy. The sky looks wrong. Deli whispers, "This isn't a seance, it's a fucking incantation." The ground shifts. Jason's grave opens. Victor moves to stop his sister, but it's too late. A hand bursts through the dirt. Jason crawls out, gasping, coughing up grave soil. But when he lifts his head, his eyes are wrong. They glow green. They are not his eyes. Fade to black. A song for the dead. Act 1. The thing that came back. Opening scene. The cemetery. Dawn. Jason stands before Victor and his sister, freshly pulled from the grave. He is not right. His body looks intact, but his eyes glow a sickly green, and his voice is almost his, but slightly warped, like an old tape playing at the wrong speed. Victor stares in horror. This isn't Jason. His sister doesn't care. She rushes forward, embracing the thing that used to be their friend. Jason smiles, but his expression doesn't reach his eyes. He hums an unfinished melody, the same song that's been haunting Victor's dreams. Deli watches from a distance, cigarette trembling between her fingers. You raised a ghost. You don't get to be surprised when it haunts you. Act 2. A homecoming. International. The farm. Night. Victor, his sister, and Jason return to their childhood home, the family farm where Tiny Plastic Babies was born. Jason moves like he remembers the place, but everything is just slightly off. He laughs at a joke that was never told. He hums a tune that no one knows but feels familiar. He touches the walls like he's trying to remember being alive. At the old barn where they used to rehearse, Victor's sister picks up Jason's guitar and starts strumming their unfinished song. Jason sings. His voice is perfect. Too perfect. The moment he sings, the world shifts. The stars rearrange themselves. The wind stops. The barn door slams shut on its own. Jason finishes the verse and turns to Victor. It's your turn, man. Victor grips his fists. He refuses. Jason's smile twists slightly. You don't get to walk away this time. A CT3. The vampire in the sun. Revelation. Jason is not Jason. Gideon Cross appears at the edge of the farm, watching from a distance. Deli grabs Victor, whispering, I know what this is. Jason is not Jason. His body was a vessel, a doorway. The song is the key. When Tiny Plastic Babies fell apart, the music didn't die. It was unfinished. That unfinished energy was a spell left open, waiting for a voice to complete it. The thing wearing Jason's body is a hunger-given form, a being that exists in unfinished stories, in words left unspoken, in ghosts that refuse to leave. Jason grins too wide. It doesn't matter, Vic. We were always meant to finish this song. Victor's sister is already playing the next chord. Deli pulls a gun from her jacket, points it at Jason. Let him go. Jason's head tilts. The barn catches fire. Jason's body begins to disintegrate into sound, into raw music, notes unraveling like thread. But he still sings. Victor's sister won't stop playing. Deli screams at Victor, "You have to finish the song!" Victor looks at Jason, what's left of him. His childhood best friend, the boy he grew up with. The ghost that has followed him for 8 years. Victor picks up the guitar, and he sings. Final issue, no next time. Act 1, the end of the song. Victor's voice cuts through Jason's. Jason freezes, his body fractures, glowing green at the seams. The song was never meant to be finished. Because the moment it is, everything connected to it has to leave. Victor's sister screams, realizing too late what she's done. No, we can fix this. We can try again. But there is no next time. Jason smiles at Victor, his real smile for the first time. Guess I don't get an encore. He dissolves into light. The fire in the barn dies instantly. Victor and his sister are left alone in the ash and silence. Act 2. The aftermath. Ext. The farm. Dawn. Victor's sister is hysterical. She hits him over and over, sobbing. "We could have had him back." "You killed him again." Victor doesn't fight back. He just lets her go. Deli pulls her off him. She's crying too, but she won't show it. Victor stares at the burnt barn, the old guitars, the remnants of a song that should never have been played. Jason is gone. The past is truly dead. Now what? A CT3, the vampire in the sun. Gideon's final words. As Victor leaves the farm, Gideon is waiting for him. You made the right choice. But there will always be another song. He tosses Victor a cassette tape. No label, no explanation. Victor doesn't take it, just turns and walks away. Final scene. The road. External. Highway. Night. Victor is alone, driving through the dark, the road stretching out in front of him. He turns on the radio. A familiar melody plays. The same song, the one that should have ended. Victor laughs bitterly. Fade to black, end of the arc. Aftermath and themes. Victor let go, but that doesn't mean the past let go of him. His sister is broken. She will never forgive him. Deli stays, but something between them is different now. Jason got his encore. Maybe he was never meant to leave. The music still lingers. This arc ends on a haunting note, closure, but never complete. A song that should never have existed, but now does.